So howdy, this is PaleRider, and welcome to the second video in my new series on how to start woodworking in a very tiny workspace. So if you haven't seen the first video, I'll put a link in the description below. And this video is the first step in the process of turning this into something that I could actually work in. To get most of this done, I'm going to need this. So I'm going to show you how I turned this into this. All right, first things first, we got to tear this puppy apart. Maybe some black widows have gummed the whole works up. But this is a little bit of a mess in here. Some kind of capacitor here that looks a little rusty. I tested this thing out before I took it apart, and it was working. So that capacitor is probably okay. But there is another problem here. Capacitors hold a lot of electricity built up in them. They store electricity. So before I do anything here, I need to discharge that capacitor. So I lost all the footage of me disconnecting all this wiring. I didn't discharge the capacitor. All I did was took off one wire at a time and capped them with wire nuts. Then I cut off the light wires from the outside and disconnected those because I'm not going to use the lights at all. And then I just disconnected all the wiring. After that, I started on the 2.5-day task of getting rid of all the rust and paint using wire wheels, sandpaper, and rust remover. Here are the highlights. Finally done grinding off all the rust and paint, and it took me a long time. It took me days, because the main reason that I'm doing this first before I'm doing any of my other projects is I had to do this with a hand drill and grinding wheels. This with a grinding wheel on it will save me hours of work on the rest of my projects. So now it's time for painting. I need to paint it, reassemble it, and I'll be ready to go. All right, quick painting tip here. If you want to paint the heads of some screws, an easy way to do it is to get yourself a piece of cardboard and poke some holes in it. I just use a screwdriver. You can use an awl, whatever floats your boat. And just pop them in the holes. I think I need to make them a little bigger. All right, all done. Now when you paint them, you'll just paint the heads and you won't get it on the threads. I'm done with the paint. Here's all the parts. And I'm ready to reassemble it, but it's I'm running out of light here and our power just went out. So hopefully there's enough light here to do this. One thing you got to know about these shafts is that the left side is going to be reverse threads from the right side. Right side should be the right threads, which I'm pretty sure is this one. Yep. So this one is reverse. So instead of lefty loosey, you go lefty tighty. So here's where I started running into some problems trying to get this wire wheel on. In specific, it was the bushing in the middle of this wire wheel that was giving me the problem. I did get it working, but you'll see in a while that it wasn't working all that great, and by the end of the video I did come up with a solution. Alright, so I'm done with the paint and I got it back together. So all I really need to do now is flatten out the wheel. I still have the old grinding wheel on here. I was going to get a new one, but this one's actually in good shape. I just need to flatten it out a little bit. So I got this off of Amazon, and it's used to flatten these out. But before I do that, I need to make a guide. So I'm going to have to make one of those. I'm going to make one out of wood. But first, I need to mount it on this. This is a PV amplifier speaker box that's seen better days. And it's a perfect cable to mount this about right there on that side. I'm going to mount my vise in the middle here. And I'm going to get a bench sander, and I'm going to put that on this side over here. So let me get to that, and I'll mount this thing and then fire it up and see if it even runs anymore. You might have noticed that the guard on this side, half of it's missing, and there is no guard on this side. I don't know what I'm going to do about all that, but that is kind of wobbly, ain't it? I have to figure out why that is. But the guard, I'm just going to have to deal with it. I just have to be extra careful until I can find a better grinder. This one will do for now. The next step, though, is to get it square, and it actually looks square, so all I really need to do is clean it up. If you look at that, let me try to get closer. Looks pretty damn square. Go to the other side. Yep, nothing wrong with that wheel. Just need to clean it up a little bit. I have no clue what this is called. hell, that did not work at all. I don't know if you could see it. Maybe you can see it better on here. Look what it did. This is supposed to be, got diamond dust on it. It's not supposed to do that. Apparently doesn't work. I think I probably should have did a little flatter when I was doing it, but I don't have the guard, so I was worried about going too far that way, and I figured since it was diamond it would work. But nope, that's not good. I'm gonna have to get something else or get a new wheel, one of the two. So yesterday when I got this running, I turned it on and the wire wheel was wobbly a little bit, and I was trying to figure out why, and it has something to do with the way I had it set up. These, well, first of all, the wire wheel itself came with this little tiny thin bushing that fits in this hole. Sorry about the outside noise, they're doing construction around here, but anyway, because of that, the way that these flanges go on, which normally would be, well, let me get it in the camera, like this, and they stick out, make it so that these could pop in or out, and then the wheel is wobbling on there. So I wanted to make sure that the bushing stayed in. Whoop, the bushing stayed in. This is actually not so much, it's a bushing, but it's also an adapter that changes the size of the hole to fit on this arbor or shaft or whatever you want to call it. So I turned these around so that the bump part on it would fit in there and hold the bushing in on both sides, and that created another problem. When I put it on, the shaft was too long, and so I had to put all kinds of spacers and washers, and the washers that I was using actually weren't exactly flat, so it was creating a wobble. So I went to the hardware store and I got a couple of these. I actually only needed one, but I bought two of them just to make sure. They're spacers with a set screw in them. So I put that on first and made sure that that was square with the shaft. And now I can put these on like that. And I also bought this pack of, well, let me get that in the camera, of arbor bushings, which are right here. And these are more or less adapters for different size holes that you have in your wheels, your grinding wheels, or your brushes, or whatever that you're going to put on there. The grinding wheel on the other side also has one. And so I take out this little bushing and get the right size of these. It has 3 different sizes. And it was a little bit too long to fit between these two and have it set flat. But I realized that I don't really need to have it completely exactly the right size. So I sanded it down a little bit, and I got it on there. And I can put this on and put this on. And now there's no gap between them. Now I can put on the nut and tighten. Let me tighten it just a little bit for now. I'll have to tighten it down more in a minute. You couldn't see that, but okay, now when I turn it, I'll turn it on in a few minutes after I tighten it all the way, but when I turn it, there's no wobble at all. All right, so I'll be right back after I tighten it up. Let's try this again. and hopefully it's not going to wobble. Put my safety mask on, and boom. All right, looks like it's working great. And now I need to try to flatten this stone out. Yesterday I tried to using this thing that I got off the internet. It's basically just a piece of steel dipped in, well shoot, it's out of focus, dipped in diamond dust, and it's not exactly flat. Really sucks, but I'm going to try to use it anyway. But this time I'm going to get a block of wood and put it up against here so that I can get that diamond grinder, whatever it's called, more flat against the stone. Like, see if I can get a good angle like that, like about like that. Well, I don't think that worked. This thing just took all the diamond dust completely off of it. You can still see it kind of sparkling. It is really, like, really lumpy. Actually, almost works now. Just using the metal to flatten it out might just work. Gonna try it a few more times off camera, and I'll let you know what happened. Anyway, I can't believe that that actually worked. Let me see if I can get this square up against here. Look at that. That is perfectly square. Turn it around a little bit. And look at that. Perfectly square. Damn. It's smooth too. It's not lumpy anymore. And I think it'll work. I won't have to buy a new one. But next time I do something like this and use this wheel to grind on, I'm definitely going to turn this thing around. That's what the wheels are for. I just got grinding wheel dust everywhere. Anyway, I hope you like this video, and stay tuned for the third video, which will be turning this vise into something usable. And it will go right here in the middle next to the grinder. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, support my channel if you can with PayPal or Patreon, all in the links below. And I hope to see you next time. Have a good one, guys. Adios. Whoa, I'm cross-eyed. Cross-eyed. Cross-eyed.